This video is published by MBKP International. In this video, we're going to talk about what we had a customer call us and they have their paper slipping. As the blade comes down, it kind of pulls the paper forward, causing longer and just not even cuts on your paper. The main reason why that usually is your blade. If you inspect your blade all along the edge here, just look for microchips. If you haven't replaced your blade in a good long time, you might want to try a blade replacement first. That's the main thing. The next thing I would try after that, if you're having that same problem, I just took the crown piece off just to get to this part so you can see this. These are adjustment screws for the paper clamp to push the springs down further. And as you turn these screws and they go further in, it actually compresses the clamp even more so to make it have a little bit stronger of a hold. So you could try to adjust these first before you try to purchase anything else or to replace the springs. The third thing you could try is to replace the springs themselves because they could just be worn out. I would just do the adjustment first before you replace the springs. If not, if it still doesn't work, then you could try to replace the springs. As far as replacing the springs, it's pretty simple. I kind of took everything off just to show people real quick and kind of I'm not going to actually do it, I'm just going to kind of go through what you got to do to get everything off. But make sure this little lever is in the down position when we turn power on, and the reason why is you want to make sure that little micro switch is made, otherwise the machine won't work. Make sure your hands are nowhere near the blade because you have no safety features on this now. And then basically I'm going to hit the reset button, and I'm going to do a half a cut and do it to where the blade's in the down position. Blade's in the full down position. The reason why I did that is because I don't want the springs compressed when you're replacing them. If you're to try to take this piece off and the springs are compressed, this whole thing will go flying up in the air once you got everything loose. So you want it in the full down position. Next thing after it's in the full down position, there's a total of 4 screws you got to take off to make this come off. But what I'm going to do is shut off power. I'm going to unplug everything, make sure I don't have any power on here because there's no need to have power on now. Basically, you want to make sure you're not going to tear anything up. So I'm going to unplug this wire right here. That's the very first wire that goes into your circuit board. That way this whole thing will come up with it without having to break any wires. Also, you're going to take off these 2 screws right here so this sensor doesn't come up with it either. Otherwise, you could break these wires here. So you take off these 2 screws, and then there's 4 more screws you got to take off. You take off the 2 top ones, that screw, and then this screw right here, this screw right here. Once you have that off, this whole top piece is free to come off. Once that comes off, it'll actually pull these up, and these springs are just in there. You just kind of pull the whole thing up, and the springs will just kind of fall over. Put in your new springs, put everything back the way it goes, just button it back up, and then you can give it another try. This video is published by MBKP International.